Hey everyone, welcome to episode 71 of the Pickleball Effect podcast. I'm your host, Braydon.
And I'm Kyle.
Kyle, welcome back to another show.
Another show.
They keep coming.
They do. Well, every week.
Every week.
Like clockwork.
Like clockwork. This one might be a little shorter, though. Our last few have been over an hour. At one point, we were like, oh, we want to try to shoot for 45 minutes.
Oh, I know. Like in
Rarely
the beginning,
happens.
yeah, we're like, let's do 45 minutes. An hour's too long, but it always goes an hour.
It just happens.
I have noticed, maybe, I don't know if it's different for you. I've received a lot less paddles lately. Like, I feel like there was like a big surge, and I feel like there's like a lull right now.
Yeah, it slowed down a little bit. We have some gearboxes coming out. Thrive just did a couple. Franklin's going to start launching some of the other shapes. You got new shapes coming for the Yolas.
Yeah, that'll be cool. The Scorpius is fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of blanking on some other ones that might be coming out, but those, yeah, it's definitely slowed down a little bit, which is funny. You'd think it would be hotter now that Chinese New Year's over, where production's moving with, but there was a lot of launches before.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Chinese New Year.
And I think they were trying to get them done before that.
Maybe that's what it was. I wonder if there's some sort of correlation to that. But yeah, this seems to be early in the year. Seems like it's starting to turn into the release season, whereas before it's just all the time, constant. And you're going to get that a little bit.
Yeah,
but I would like for there to be a little bit of a season.
That would be nice.
Then you can, you play with it for a year. Then you check out what's new the next year. And every other golf's that way. Tennis is that way.
Yeah,
I imagine
snowboarding's that way. That's what I was saying. Like snowboarding, like there's like every season gets a new, line, and then they don't like update that line during the year.
Yep.
How like pickleball seems like it's like almost quarterly.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if it's because the cycle for paddles for technology has been faster than a year.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense
for a long time. And I wonder if we're starting
to mature
a little bit. I mean, we're not quite there yet. We're still going to see a boom of foam paddles. We're still going to see new stuff popping up this year, probably for the next couple of years. But eventually, it has to plateau, right? Especially now that we've hit this power. We had this power limit, right?
Yes.
Once everyone catches up to the power limit, you're not innovating around power anymore. It's the twist weight, it's the feel, it's those things that we started to see with like the Yola Pro 4 series, right? And so we're, I don't know when we're going to plateau. I don't know. I still feel like it might be a couple years away.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's not. It's getting closer.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's still lots of technology and different ways to make things. I think that'll come down for the next 10 years, but it may not feel as revolutionary because you're not for the last few years, right? It's just been this bump of power, and it feels significant.
Yeah.
And everyone's just, whoa, this is so cool having this easy power, right? But once that's gone,
capped, yeah. Now that
which
we're capped,
it is now,
yeah, exactly.
We're not going to see. I don't think it's going to be this mind blowing. Got to get this new tech every single time. Maybe it turns into golf where it's every couple of years you update or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely getting closer.
Babble told was it every 3 years is like a generation in tennis or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like tennis racket, it's like a 3-year.
Yeah.
So that's why they said they were like blown away by pickleball. It's like
bam, 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 bam. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. We'll see what happens there, and it'll be here before we know it. Unfortunately, I might be out of a job when that happens.
We'll have to dig a little harder to find stuff to talk about.
All right, so this week for weekly update, I have an update on a pro sponsorship I ended up going through with, a new product I'm developing. You got an interview with Matthew Schwartz coming up, which will be cool. 38050 is you this week. Kyle's Corner, just a couple of items from the tournaments last week.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot.
The SQ and Ben was a fun one, though.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that.
Talk about that. Paddle and Babble gear this week is going to be all Gearbox paddles. So they have their new series that they're coming out with that I don't know the release date yet, but then they have their PUE 14, the Pro Ultimate Elongated 14. That is out now, I believe. And then we got Q&A. You hunted down the Q&A questions.
I did.
Week.
I posted on Instagram first questions and got a ton, so I just picked 3.
Nice. And then I did throw one there at the end.
I saw that.
That's
a good one.
It is a good one. All right, so weekly update, sponsorship. Okay, we've talked about how I had some conversations with Catherine Parento's agent, and that was just too expensive. And then we got in touch later with Johnny Goldberg. He's an agent for a handful of pros, and we ended up signing a deal with Fed. So we kind of flirted.
He's decent at pickleball.
Yeah, he's
awesome.
not bad. But he was more affordable than Catherine was.
Okay.
But it's a pretty simple deal. The crux of it is he uses the tungsten, and he just has to do one post about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the big deal for us is that we get image rights. So they're going to do a little photo shoot with him in the tungsten. Cool. So we're going to use that on the website, socials, and just say that he endorses it, and which will be cool.
I like that.
And then it's pretty lightweight. On his end, they kind of just do this one little photo shoot, make a post, and that's pretty much it.
All right.
It's a year-long contract. Okay. I don't know if he'll organically talk about it. Of all the players out there, his stuff is a little more polished. Mm-hmm. He might have a little media team. I don't know.
100%. Because I would say his video. I don't know if you remember that one video they made at one of those PPAs of him playing singles, but like it made me want to play singles.
Yeah,
like he's got a real video team.
He's got a real video or a guy or somebody that's doing that for him. They're really professional, and so he's still playing the Yola, though he's posted pictures with the new Adidas with an edge guard that I've seen.
Yeah, I saw that.
So there's something in development there. We haven't heard anything new about the Adidas event, so
but I'm actually kind of excited to hit the one with the edge guard though. I'm assuming it's going to play similar to a Yola if Fed's actually going to play with it.
Yeah, you'd think would be pushing for something like that.
I also noticed, talking about your tungsten, I saw you need to get a hold of Anna Bright. They were like zoomed in on her, and she was like looking at her paddle, and she's got like the ugliest like lead tape on it.
Oh, really?
I'm like, send her some tungsten. Like that looks terrible.
Well, I'll have Kate tell her.
Yeah,
to pass it
just
on.
Pass it on.
I'll be like, Kate,
just slip this in her bag.
Go talk to her about this. Be my ambassador here. She'd probably do that for me.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. That'll be cool. Only got the budget for one person. I don't know what impact, if any, this will have on
sales.
Test. I don't know. So this will be a little test. Maybe if it does well, we'll sign another one. It'd be great to get a female. Maybe we get a thing with Kate or something.
Yeah.
But this will be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen there.
That's exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah, it'll be cool. There's a number of pros that I send tungsten to, and they like it.
Yeah, I've seen multiple people post about it.
Yeah, Jaume was on center court with it this week. He's been using it now, which is cool. But yeah, the whole tungsten thing is just blowing my mind with how well it's done on Amazon. It's been fun. So in the same vein, working on a new product. So this is an interesting story. The product is this gel or this lotion stuff. You put a few drops on your hand, rub it in, and then it keeps your hands dry. So it's meant if an overgrip isn't enough.
So is it similar to like liquid chalk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Same vein.
Okay. I use that in CrossFit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm pitching this product for pickleball, but it could be used to CrossFit. It could be used in a number of applications.
Got it.
And when you go look at listings for this stuff, there's lots of products like it. Mm-hmm. It's advertising all sorts of things.
Got it. That's cool though.
So I'm going to hone in on pickleball. But what's unique about this stuff is it's owned and made by a guy here in Nampa.
Oh.
So he's been in the tennis scenario or scene for years and years and years. So he got his hands on this formula back in, I think, the 90s is when it was, and he had huge contracts with Wilson and some of these and Prince and these guys when they were just everything in tennis. And so people like Serena Williams have won majors with it.
Oh,
people, Federer, like huge names have used this stuff, and it's his. He owns the formula. It's made in the U.S. Nobody else can copy it. So I like that element of it.
Yeah.
But things have kind of ebbed and flowed with him over the years. And we started talking. I found out he was the person who owns this stuff. And so we signed a contract this last week where I get exclusive rights for the product in the pickleball space.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really pumped about it. Stuff's the real deal. It's pretty cool. What I like the most about it is it does keep your hands dry, but you can still feel the tack of your grip. That was attractive to me. And then it's not as messy. It's a little cleaner than probably some of the chalk that you're familiar with. It doesn't have a little chalky nature to it, but it's very mild, and it's pretty cool.
Does it work whether you're using a dry grip or a tacky grip? Have you tried it on both?
I mean, I've only tried it on tacky, but almost imagine it's the same.
Almost everybody I know uses tacky grips. So there's a few people that use dry grips.
Yeah. So this stuff will be cool. We just signed the contract, making labels, putting in our first order. Minimum order quantity is pretty high, but we're putting in a decent investment here in the beginning, hoping we can kickstart it. But that'll be 2-3 months away. But this is Something new that no one's really pushed too hard in the pickleball sphere, and I think it could really help a lot of people, especially in the hot area. I mean, summer anywhere you could use this
Florida,
stuff.
I was gonna say Florida. I've never been one to wear my hands don't sweat that much, like especially in our climate. When I played in Southern Florida, my hands were disgusting, and I would wear a sweatband here. I would probably use any kind of hand product. It was gross.
Watching the pros play this weekend? They were just drenched.
Oh yeah,
all of them had sweatbands, and no brainer. The first time I'm the same way as you. Like, I do sweat. It would be not. I would use it here, but it's not a game changer here in Boise. But when I played in a tournament in Texas last year, it was an issue while I was playing. My grip got soaking wet and it was slipping.
Yeah.
So it creates like a moisture barrier. It prevents the sweat and blocks it. So it's pretty slick.
Yeah.
And you have to depending on how hot it is, you have to reapply it every 30 minutes to an hour. So you have to keep it going.
Basically each game.
Each game or set. And when it's like crazy hot. But
no,
I'm excited about this. I don't know how. You never know. It's always a gamble.
Do you have an MSRP on what a bottle of it's going to cost?
We haven't decided yet.
Okay.
But it'll probably be around 15-ish.
Okay. Do you know how many applications you get out of a bottle?
That's a tricky one. It depends on how much you use. For me, I'll probably get around 50 applications. Others might get 30. It just depends on how much you use and how often you apply. But so I've been using it. I've been doing 2 applications per session, just once an hour.
Got it.
And that's been working good. And I never realized how sweaty my hands were until I used it. Because when you take it off and you're not using it, and then you go play, like, man, my hands are sweatier than I remember.
That's funny.
But that's
awesome.
That's coming down the line. That'll be cool. Other things this week. So I'm focusing more on the website than paddles for the next couple of weeks. I need to make some updates to the paddle quiz and some other areas that just take a lot of time. So I probably won't publish a review for a minute. It'll be 2-3 weeks till I start the next one, and just focusing on website. For you, I saw you been talking with Matthew. He's the guy that does the blog for Who
yeah. And he writes for one of the Pickleball magazines.
Yeah. He's a really good writer.
Yeah.
So he's done features on a few reviewers and other personalities. He reached out to me the other day. He was like, and asked what I thought of doing a piece on you. And I was like, yeah, Kyle has one of the most fascinating backgrounds.
Oh, it's to say
you'll find.
He dug deep. So
did he?
Yeah. So
I'm sure I'll learn a lot about you.
I'll say anybody's gonna learn a lot about me that I don't usually publicly talk about.
Yeah. So this will be really cool.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a rite of passage. Getting an article. From
him.
It
was cool. He called me. He called me and he's like, "Hey, are you cool talking about all this stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, we can dig deep. It's fine." Like, he got a little emotional. He had some hard hitting questions. I was like, okay.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a while. He knows how to interview. And
I was gonna say his question. You can tell that he's a good writer just by his questions. I was like, dang. Like,
this will be a cool piece. So. Have you published any of this information anywhere ever?
Some close friends know some of the stuff that gets talked about in this interview, but definitely not the masses.
Are you a little nervous?
A little bit. He was definitely like, you definitely have the most colorful past of any pickleball person I've ever talked to.
To be nice with it.
Yeah. So, no, it was good. It was fun.
Yeah. How you feeling about it?
I'm
a little anxiety.
I'm a little anxiety. Like, I'm anxious to read it. We'll see. I mean, I sent him the photo. He asked for some photos, and so there's like a photo of like me and you doing the podcast and some Navy stuff and some other stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. So.
It'll probably be.
It's going to be this.
He's pretty fast
this week. He said it'll probably be published by like Thursday.
Okay. So keep an eye out for that. We'll share it on our socials, obviously. And then,
then I don't know if you saw. Did you watch the?
I did not see this bullet.
So this was Annalie Waters and Ben. So this was the mixed match, the mixed championship match, and like I turn it on, and like right there in frame, like huge, I just see like PB effect on this guy's hat.
No.
Yeah. It was Paul though.
Oh, it was Paul.
Okay. But I was like, it was like great because it was just like huge. Like it was like zoomed way in because he was like all up in their face, and it was just like, and his head was down, so I didn't see his face at first.
Yeah, because he's got his he's looking at his camera.
But it was like pickleball effect. I'm like free advertisement.
I gotta go screenshot that.
Oh, I tried to. I was like trying to take a picture of the TV, and I couldn't get my camera app to open.
So Paul's a local videographer here.
Yeah.
He travels. He's got deals with a few pros.
Yeah, and I don't know
who was he filming.
That's what I mean. He was filming Ben and Annalise, so I don't know if one of them
Oh, so maybe he's working for PPA or something.
Yeah, like he might be moving on up. I meant to message him and see what he was doing. I texted
so
him and
great,
I was
dude.
like, looking good on center court.
That's awesome.
But
It's really cool what he's done. So a year ago, he shows up at the club. No one
has any idea.
No one knows who he is. He builds a relationship with one of the instructors. They make some videos together and like lessons for videos. And he just built his network locally. And it was he always wanted to do, or he wanted to work in pickleball. That was his goal. So he did a lot of free stuff, a lot of free video work for people, and got to know Susanna, got to meet other pros. I'm not even sure how he did it.
I don't know how he ended up.
He somehow got contracts with a couple of pros and was traveling with them.
I think he was
doing
filming like Kate. He was filming Zoe. I think he might have been filming Connor Garnett too at some point.
Yeah. So really cool that he made his dream come true.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I freaking love Paul. He's awesome. Yeah, I gotta go screenshot that. That's great. All right, 3-0 to 5-0, brought to you by Holy. So they got 2 new flavors coming out when this pod launches.
And they are delicious.
They are pretty good. So these are their in-game flavors: raspberry lemonade, fruit punch. Do you have a favorite?
The raspberry lemonade. So this week I even tried, this is messy, but I did raspberry lemonade in my Soda Stream water, which it'll fizz up really bad, but I just got through it, and then it tastes like delicious soda.
Oh,
but
nice.
It's not soda. It's
Little Fanta fruit punch.
kind of. It was so good.
Yeah, both these flavors are very good. Fan of both these. So they're launching these on the 11th when this pod publishes. They're doing a
Was it buy one,
promotion. Buy one, get one half off.
Buy one, get
so
one
you
half
can
off.
try both flavors. So go take advantage of that. Try their new flavors.
Code Pickleball Effect.
Yeah.
PB Effect.
Code
sorry.
PB Effect will give you a little discount too. But yeah, definitely found the new flavors. I said this before. I don't mind their old ones, but these are probably the only flavors I'm going to buy moving forward.
The raspberry lemonade is like going to be my go-to from now
Those are good.
on.
Get your electrolytes. You need to drink electrolytes while you play.
All right. So 3-0 to 5-0. I kind of just wanted to talk about a drill that has one of my favorite drills that I've been introduced to a long time ago that I do think brought my game much higher.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've done it. Maybe you have.
I didn't recognize the name of it. Here.
Okay. So it's called Dink, Dink, Go. Brought to you by a local here named Kirk.
Dink Dink Go. Is it?
Dink, Dink, Go.
Is that like a child's book?
It's kind of like Duck, Duck, Goose.
Oh, yeah, that's not what I'm thinking of. Okay.
Kind of like Duck, Duck, Goose.
But I've heard this ring.
So this is a really good one. You get 4 players. You guys all start at the non-volley zone. It has to start with basically you dink across and then you dink back and then everything's open. And why I like this is because it emulates that you both successfully made it to the kitchen, which doesn't always happen. So this gets you reps that you probably wouldn't get at the lower level because a lot of times the point ends before all the opponents are at the kitchen. Then it also gets you basically going from offense to defense because you'll get pushed back and then you got to work your way forward. And it just gets you a lot of reps really fast and kind of negates the errors at the lower levels where you're actually missing your drops and stuff like that. So it just gets you like a different look. And I really like it. It makes your game at the net much stronger. And then you come to realize like, hey, if I can get to the net and then I can work the net, it's easier to set up the points. So it's kind of like seeing what the ultimate goal is of actually getting to the net and playing it. And I just think it's really good. And it gets you those reps that you're not going to get if you're just playing in an open play at 3-5.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. I mean, I don't think this is reserved for lower levels either.
No, not at all. It gets even the better you get, the more fun it gets because more shots open up. Like all of a sudden you're getting offensive lobs and you're having to chase down a lob and get back to the kitchen. And this is just like this is a drill I think works across the board.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. That sounds really good. I've done stuff like that before, but not too often. And I like that it's a 4-person drill because most drills I do are two people.
Person, yeah.
And although 2-person drills are good, it's not always realistic. Where in this scenario, you see the cross-court speed-ups, you see things you see in games.
Yes.
One of my weaknesses, or I guess underdeveloped areas I've noticed when I'm at the kitchen are cross-court speed-ups, especially when someone speeds up towards my forehand, which most people are really good at, but for some reason I just don't pick that up as well. And as I do straight on, I do better straight on with counters. And I think that's just because I've done so many 2-person drills straight on for hands.
And most people have. And like we'll meet up and like we won't even play a game. We'll just do this for an hour or two. And It's a blast,
It's really fun.
and it actually gets.
I can only think of one time I've done it, but I remember it being really fun.
Yeah, so definitely one for the books.
Yeah, that's a good drill. Dink, dink, go. And then the name just rolls nice.
Yeah. All right, what do we got? Kyle's Corner
Kyle's
next,
Corner.
brought to you by Slice. Slice has been a longtime sponsor. We love them. They make that weighted butt cap, brings your balance point down, faster hands.
We're going to talk about balance point today too in Paddle Babble. So
I typically use the 1 ounce cap on a elongated, half-ounce cap is good on a hybrid. And they also have weights that are much cheaper if you just want to test it. Yeah, speed coins. If you just want to test it and see if it's something that would aid your game, you can get that much cheaper to try it before you invest in a cap.
yeah, go check out Slice. Really high quality caps.
Yeah.
Really nice stuff.
They're machined very nice.
You can do customizations. I actually ordered one this week. I
did a custom one?
I ordered a custom one with my logo and stuff on it. And so when that comes in this week, I'll show it off next week.
You gonna mass produce it?
No plans. I just ordered one for me.
Okay.
Just because I wanted to.
You don't want anybody to be rocking a PE.
I could ask him. I don't know. Maybe I could put that up on my my website or something.
He would.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So check them out. And what else? What do we got? All right. PPA this week. I didn't get to watch a ton. What I did notice though is Jackie Kawamoto was playing with a Flamingo. Project Flamingo. So I'm assuming that
she made a good run. Where did she get to?
Where did I see? Quarterfinals, I think.
Quarterfinals, maybe semis. Who was she playing with?
She was playing with. Oh no, I'm drawing a blank.
No, don't draw a blank.
I'm drawing a blank. People are gonna roast me. She was playing really well too.
But she was playing a Flamingo.
She was playing with the Flamingo. Was she playing with Vivian David? She might have been playing with Vivian David. You can't tell either. I don't know. I'm the paddle nerd. All I noticed was the paddle she was holding. I was like, oh, she's not playing with a Selkirk. She's playing with a Project Flamingo.
The Flamingos are popping up quite a bit.
They are.
They're in the pro scene.
Yeah. And then, speaking of Flamingo, the DSQ and Ben. Did you watch any of them?
I did. I didn't watch the final. I saw the final score, but I watched the semifinal against Klinger and JW, which was a thriller. Mm-hmm. What did you think of that partnership?
DSQ is a beast. And I think he does like to play left, but he played insanely good on the right.
Yeah, he played right.
And him and Ben were they were good.
This was their first tournament together. All of Ben's other first time partnerships with Tardio and Patrick Quinn were just so.
Yeah,
I don't think he won any.
No, he didn't. So Patrick Quinn, he got bronze. And then with Gabe, they got silver. And DSQ, they got gold. And DSQ's won gold with quite a few different partners now.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. Is DSQ the guy?
He's the X factor.
I think at the beginning of the year, everyone was hyping up Tardio and Patrick Quinn as the number 2, 3 guys. But as this year's gone on, you have DSQ winning with multiple partners. And you have Alshon doing really, really well. I think there's a big argument for Alshon, DSQ, and Ben as your top 3 guys. Then you have your JW, Tardio, Patrick Quinn, Federico, all in that close to space. They were good.
I'm curious because they look dominant, but I do know I saw that Ben is going to be playing with Gabe in the next tournament. But I'm wondering if Ben's now thinking maybe
is he the guy?
Is DSQ the guy?
So what was the final? I just saw the score. I didn't see the final, but they crushed Alshon and Fed in the final.
Oh yeah, they played great.
It was, I want to say, 5 and under every game on points.
He's dominant over there.
It was really impressive. And I wonder what that is. At least from the game I watched, it didn't seem like DSQ was cheating as much as Tardio and Patrick, who like to squeeze middle, be a little more aggressive there. He's very... I've never seen DSQ dink so much.
Yeah, no, he definitely...
cross-court,
that's what they were saying on the announcing too. They're like, he obviously practiced his cross-court dinks because he was solid in the cross-court dinks.
I think he held that a little longer, reminiscent of Colin.
Yeah.
A little bit of that.
But much bigger.
Much bigger, reachy, more speed ups.
Yeah, so he's got more power than Colin.
I think he won, more power. I think he won his fair share of hand battles like he does. And so I wonder if that mix with Ben made more sense, where the right side partner isn't as aggressive in the sense of coming middle, kind of encroaching on a Ben style.
Yes, I was going to say it's definitely more similar to the style he'd been playing. So I'm sure he was way more comfortable with that.
And so they were good. I think And part of you has to think, okay, is Daescu the X factor?
After watching that, I was like, that was pretty.
Because Daescu beat Ben in the finals a week or two ago. Yeah. Like, was it Alshon? I don't even remember who his partner was.
Yeah, I think it was Alshon.
But it keeps being Andre Daescu that's popping up with multiple partners. And he hasn't really had a solid men's partner.
No, he moves a lot.
He moves a lot. I don't know why that is.
I think he's finding the right combo. I mean, I guess Ben. You can't go wrong with Ben. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, and he keeps getting better, but he's not, a spring chicken.
No.
He's what, mid-30s?
I think so, yeah. I think he's late. He's not our age. I think he's got to be later 30s.
Is he late 30s?
I'll have to look it up.
But doesn't matter if you're winning.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
So that was pretty exciting. That's all I really had. I didn't watch a ton. I did see, Alshon won singles, right? For his first.
Yeah, he beat Zhao Mei in 3.
And that was, he's, being consistent lately too. So Alshon's
across
on
the board.
rise. Yeah.
Singles, mixed. Yep. The dude just rips it, man.
He's got heart. He's a little crazy up here, but
he gets beat for that. He's fine. He's fine.
It's just hard to let go when I saw an Instagram video that he posted of himself punching his steering wheel and like crying.
I've cried on camera.
I've cried on camera too, but I wouldn't video myself crying. I've been videoed and cried, not videoed myself crying. So it's all right. We love him.
Nah, I've only had positive interactions with him. I've met him a couple times in person. I did that one interview with him, and I like Alshon.
Yeah,
I like Alshon.
Did you watch JW play it all this weekend?
Yeah, he's probably the one I watched the most. He was happened to be on when
he was on fire.
So him and Klinger.
Yeah, when I was watching mix is what I was most impressed with. His slice dink.
He didn't have Georgia. Who did he play with?
And then oh my gosh, he didn't have Georgia. He had
it was Xana Bright.
Yeah,
they went to the finals.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I think they lost.
They lost in the finals. But in the semifinals, he kept doing the same pattern of a slice dink to the middle and just annihilating the next ball over and over.
Starting to add some offense.
It was awesome.
Dude, good for him. He's. I don't think his game has changed a lot over the last year.
He just owns the net.
He's kind of stuck with that same strategy. Yeah. I wonder if he built a few more weapons, was a little more aggressive in some scenarios, if that would benefit him.
Well, I do feel like his strength is at the net. I feel like he has less weapons the further he gets away from the non-volley zone.
Sure. I mean, his speed ups and counter is very good, but it all seems to be very much dink, dink, dink till he get a high ball.
And then,
he doesn't create much from below the net.
No.
Like some guys can.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy watching him. Yeah, they were a good combo. Yeah, he had a great weekend in general.
That was a fun one to watch.
But he and Klinger beat Tardio and Patriquin pretty good in the quarterfinals.
Okay.
I think a lot of people would have put their money on Tardio and Patriquin. Yeah. They had Tardio and Patriquin switching sides, trying to figure something out. I think the second game was close. That went to Tardio and Patriquin. The other two, I think Klinger and JW.
Klinger's another sneaky one.
He's real sneaky.
Yeah, he's good. I like him.
Yeah, him and Daescu have done a few. I'd like to see that.
I think they're going to run it back. I actually talked to Charles after Andre won, and he made it sound like Klinger and Daescu going to run a few more.
I wonder if Proton incentivizes them.
I think so. I think
to play together.
I think a lot of the brands do. I feel like Selkirk probably did for a while because there was a lot of double Selkirk pros. I wonder if Yola does. I mean, it looks better when both players are using the same paddle as far as marketing. So.
Yeah, there's got to be something.
So that's it.
Paddle, Babble, and Gear brought to you by ADV. These guys make really high quality backpacks. Our favorite is the Backpack V2. So just one thing I love about it is there's so many accessory pockets. They have this big accessory pocket up front.
That's where I put my paddle care case.
And even within this accessory pocket has a couple other pockets inside it. And then you open up the main compartment.
Got it.
You got that side?
Yeah.
And then you have another big accessory pocket here and here, another one here, a couple on the side. And so it's just really easy to organize everything. And then it has the paddle sleeve here in the back that holds 3 paddles.
I also like the grab handle that's on the back.
Yeah.
I actually use that a lot when I'm just grabbing it out of my car and walking in. If I don't want to put it on my back, I just hold it like a duffel.
Yeah.
It's got a grab handle right here, which I actually really like that.
And it has one on the side.
So you can hold it. So that was well thought out.
Yeah, I do. And when I'm traveling or pulling out of the car, I use those. So really nice. You can go check them out. Link in the description. Use code PBEffect for a discount. I'll link straight to the backpack this week. All right, topic for Paddle Babble and Gear is going to be Gearbox paddles, and then we're going to talk about balance point and maneuverability. So let's first talk about the tech in these new gearboxes. I think there's been some chatter and interest on what these actually are.
I didn't get these.
Yeah, you keep saying them Discord.
I emailed them. They're just ignoring me.
So this is the paddle we're talking about here. This is the Gearbox GX2. This release date hasn't been made known yet. I imagine it's going to be in a month or so.
I like Gradient. Gradient is in.
Yeah, Gradient is everywhere. This is the other one, the Gearbox Pro Ultimate Elongated 14. We're going to talk about here in a second. That's the one that's releasing and is supposed to be the replacement for the Pro Power that Elongated that was banned. So this is the one we're talking about. So when they sent me their information and sheet on this, it was a little bit confusing, and then it made sense when I cut them open. So they're using, this is their so they have a current G2 paddle, which is their budget series. They're currently selling for $100.
Okay.
So I imagine these are going to be close to 100. These is their budget.
Oh, so this is going to be a budget line.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And codes they said are going to work for this.
Oh,
they don't do codes on
No.
their pro paddles. And so this will probably be close to $100, I would think, or it'll at least be under 150. But this uses their SST core. So that's their, I mean, if you look at this.
Yeah, that's the same ribbed core as the.
You can see that there's like tubes of carbon fiber that are filled with foam.
Yeah.
This is their 2.0, they're saying. So this, I cut up an older Ultimate that has the same SST core. These retailed for $250 when they were released. But they used to reserve this core for their premium
They're
paddles.
nice paddles, yeah.
Their old G2 model had just polypropylene.
Yeah, so it looks like in the night, the more premium paddle, there's more channels.
Yeah, so this new...
Did you count them?
Yeah, you're right. So this is the old SST core. This is SST core 2.0.
Okay.
2.0 has less channels.
Okay.
Has less channels. And then they also said they reinforced the center so that it's stronger, so that it can take more impacts and last longer. This SST core, their original one, these ones that we're looking at, they have like a power matrix core they use for their power models that uses an element of this, but not exactly the same. This design is supposed to be more durable. These are the Gearbox always touted, durability, and it was this core that they're touting the durability because the carbon fiber, they say, just doesn't break down as fast as plastic does. So they reinforce the center, and when you push down on this in the center, this is a prototype they sent me. This is why I cut it up. I don't know if there's a difference between the prototype and this, but whatever it is, it's probably really close, and this gives us a good idea of the tech they're using. So when you push down in the center, it's not given much, but then when you push down on the sides, you can feel it compress. Do that. And that compresses pretty easy on the sides.
Oh, geez.
The middle's really strong.
Yeah, the middle's really rigid.
So they either used maybe more carbon fiber there in the middle to reinforce that. So on the original, when you press forward in the middle, this is the same compression across the board, and it gives a little bit, but it's not as strong with like compressive strength in the center as this one is.
Yeah, this actually feels more uniform.
This is more uniform.
Yeah, definitely.
But generally, this is a little bit weaker than this center, but stronger than the sides.
On the sides, exactly.
So I wonder if they even thinned out the sides a little bit. So that was...
I wonder if that made it more forgiving by thinning out the side like that.
Yeah, so... Yeah, the idea there was like a durability play. You're going to get more hits in the middle. Yep. And I imagine that added a weight, so then maybe they took a little weight away from the sides to keep that in a good place. And then they added an edge guard. This is what people have been begging Gearbox to do for years, is to add an edge guard to this type of core.
Yeah.
And so looking at the numbers, it's...
I just feel like edge guards are no-brainers. Like they add perimeter weighting, they add protection to your paddle.
Yeah. Yeah, edgeless paddles get scratched up really easy.
Yeah, like they look really good when they're
out of the box, but that's it. Yeah, I think edge guards are definitely the way to go. Yeah, performance benefits plus the practical.
It's easier to apply tape to.
Yeah, yeah, all those things. So looking at this, the numbers for the edge guard ones versus past generation SST cores, you get about 0.3 bump in twist weight. So if it was 6.2 before, it's now 6.5. It's between 2 and 3. So that's kind of cool to know. That's the bump you get from an edge guard. It didn't necessarily transform it. Oh, now this is super forgiving, but it did improve the twist weight.
What was the swing weight on this? Are they still pretty high?
Yeah, they're still high. We'll talk about swing weights for the 3 different shapes they have here in a second. But finishing on what they did to change this. So if you compare these, you also notice that the foam inside is just a little bit different. So you have the new one has more black in it.
Mm-hmm.
So this black foam that they're using is supposed to decrease vibrations and improve feel over the type of expanding foam they had before. So this foam, there's a lot of foam in these. There's been foam in these from the beginning. It's not a power thing. It's expandable foam. It's just structural, just keep everything in place. And so don't look at this foam and think, oh, that's a full foam. It's going to just juice out the paddle. It's not. It's there just to help.
Structural integrity.
Keep everything in place. Yep. It's not a performance thing per se. But I do wonder if the way they build it with all this foam and the carbon fiber, the weight is very different versus polymer paddles, which we'll talk about now. So looking at the numbers, so there's 3 different shapes. I've only been playing with the Integra. This is called the Integra XL. And then they have 2 other shapes, they have an elongated, and then they have their hyper, which is their wide body. But the swing weight's 120 for the elongated, 118 for the Integra, and then 109 for the wide body. I think a lot of people were attracted to the wide body of the Ultimates just because the swing weight is more manageable. But what's most, I guess what's strange about these paddles and just kind of Gearbox paddles in general is how high the balance point is. So to give you an idea, the average balance point. So when we're talking balance point, this is where you can put your finger on the paddle and it balances, right?
Oh, dang, that is pretty high.
Whatever, you can just know from that. You're making crap up.
That looks like that looks 6 millimeters too high.
For those listening, I just put a paddle on my finger.
Yep.
To balance it, and Kyle's like, "Oh yeah,
that's too high. That's too high." A slice would fix that. So did you take like the average of like the other paddles versus the Gearbox?
Exactly. So the average for an elongated shape is 242. Normally, when I'm looking at paddles, balance point isn't really a consideration because they're all very close, and it's not a factor that makes as big of a difference out of the box. You can change the balance point with slice caps to improve the maneuverability and hand speed, right? But out of the box, depending on the shape, all the balance points are really close. You're not going to be like, oh, this balance point's 2 points lower, I'm going to buy this over this one, right? But in the case of the Gearboxes, the balance points are very high. So looking at the GX2s, the balance point is 250 for the elongated. Remember, the average was 242. And then 248 for the Integra XL, which isn't quite elongated. It's just a little bit shorter, but same
Didn't
width.
I say 6 millimeters?
You were right. So for whatever reason, the balance points are just super high on these. And it's the same thing on all their models. And it's just something you have to consider because you do feel the extra weight when you're, and so I just immediately put some tungsten here in the throat just to combat that a little bit. So you can manipulate the paddle to balance that out, but it's just something that's really interesting about these paddles. I don't really pay attention to balance point unless it's a Gearbox. And so anyways, that's the construction. That's how these are made. Let's talk about playability now. So I played with the Integra, and I mentioned how they have some foam in here that's supposed to dampen vibrations, and it does. It feels. If I didn't know what the core was, I would have thought foam paddle,
like straight foam,
like a 008 kind of thing. Except the more consistent feel. We mentioned how the 008 kind of has a different feel when dinking and driving. This is more consistent, but it's very plush, very soft, and it's like a prism flash, like a hyped up, juiced up prism flash where it feels extremely soft, but it gives you more power and pop than you'd expect.
So you played pretty good with it.
Well, not exactly.
Oh.
So it's the feel doesn't match the power you get.
Okay.
And it's almost a little too muted where the feedback wasn't there sometimes.
Got it.
I would leave one up or send one long, and I was just like, what? That did not
Didn't
make
feel like
sense.
that,
And so I wasn't able to fine tune, right? You need those subtle feedback, little vibrations for your muscles and body to say, this, when I do this motion, this is what it gives me. This is what it feels like. I didn't get that immediately, which I do get on some soft paddles, but for whatever reason on this one, the feedback wasn't the same. And so I was hitting random stuff here and there, but then on the flip side, there's other times I'll playing really good with it. It had a little more power, a little more pop than you expect. And you have that plush feel. And I've mentioned before that I have I'm partial to softer feeling paddles. So it's kind of interesting that way where it feels really soft, very dampened, gives you more than you'd expect, but it takes a little, maybe I just need more time with it. So I just played a bunch of games on Saturday and I wasn't able to dial that in as quickly as I would with comparable paddles that have the same level of power and pop and or softer feel. So it's kind of this weird sensation where I don't know how to pinpoint it exactly, but my best description for now is it's a juiced up Prism Flash with that unique softer foamy feel that's almost too muted. I need to go spend more time to definitively say whether it is too muted or not. And maybe it's just me on this one. This could be a nuance of a personal preference. I'll give you one of these. We have 3 of them, and I need to share them around and get other opinions and see what they think. But at the moment, it's like, it seems really cool with the amount of power you get. This is when I say how much power. Let me look at. I'll just give you the percentages. So the elongated was coming in at a power percentile at 78%, and then 72 for the Integra, so pretty good. And then pop was high 50s for these.
Okay.
So pretty good percentage wise, but the feels is like a 5%, power pop type paddle.
Okay.
So it's this pretty interesting dynamic, and we'll have to keep playing with these.
What's interesting though is if it is going to be at that price point, you're talking about comparable to the Vatic Prism at the same price point, but with way more durability. That could be a big draw. That's what I'm saying. That could be a big draw to that paddle.
And if we're playing with this more, we put more time on it, and if you are able to dial it in, maybe adding weight can help manipulate some of that feel and get it to a place where I feel comfortable and can connect with it. So it could be a really good budget paddle, but potentially just a good paddle on its own, right? Yeah. But I like the idea that they put the edge guard on it. It does feel more forgiving. It's not huge. I still don't think it's as good as a polymer. Okay. But definitely better for Gearbox and certainly manageable. I didn't think I was losing out on points just out the wazoo because it was not forgiving enough, right? Anyway, so that's those paddles. Let's talk the Pro Power Elongated, or I guess this isn't the Pro Power, this is the Pro Ultimate Elongated. Have you spent much more time with yours?
Yes. Like probably another, since I last used it, probably another 10 games or so.
Okay, perfect. So we can both contribute to this one.
A little bit.
Let me pull up my numbers for this. Okay. Pro Power Elongated is sunsetting in June. Gearbox quickly announced this one. Then they decided to push back the date. So this is, I want to say March 11th, but it might be some other time this month. I could probably look at my email real quick here in a second.
It releases the same day as the Raspberry Lemonade.
Maybe. So I'm just going to give you my numbers. This is the second one. I gave you the first one.
Yes.
The first one was extremely heavy. It was a 129 swing weight. This one is still very heavy at 125. But the Pro Power Elongated was also heavy at 121. So similar ballpark. This is a little bit heavier. I'm going to give you my numbers for power and pop on this first, the Pro Power. Okay. Pro Power Elongated. This is the one that is getting banned. I had a serve speed of 57.4 miles per hour. That's in the 99th percentile.
Nice.
Pop of 36.9. That was in the 90th percentile. This one here had power of 56.8. So this is about a half a mile per hour slower, which is noticeable. But it's still a 96th percentile power. This is still a tier 1 power level power, but it is toned down from the Pro Power, and then the pop was toned down quite a bit. So had 36 miles per hour versus 36.9. So this is 55 percentile on pop. So the biggest difference you'll notice with this and the other is the pop. The pop and power on the Pro Power is very immediate. It's just there always. This one, the pop is toned down a little bit, so you don't get quite as much response off of punch volleys and counters. And I wonder if part of that's just the weight.
Well, I also think that was their goal, was to tone that down too. Because remember, I think we've talked about, we think that the core test is definitely testing pop pretty heavily.
In my head, well, when I play paddles, lighter paddles I can typically generate more pop off of, because you can just accelerate the paddle quicker. So maybe from my tests, the pop is lower that way because of it's just heavier and I just can't get enough mustard on it.
Yeah.
But as far as passing PB core, I don't know. Rafa's knows what he's doing. But I didn't think this is just absurd amount of power.
No.
I don't think this needs to be banned.
Nope.
The other one, I was like, yes, this is too much. Playing with this, I did not feel like it was too much, though it does feel powerful.
Yes.
And so is this a good transition from the Pro Power? I think so.
Absolutely.
You have to get used to it. You may have to adjust the weight, maybe put some weight in the butt cap to kind of get it to a more similar balance point as the other one, or similar weight. But it's certainly a good replacement. Certainly still a bigger power paddle. Feels very similar. Definitely has that softer response. It's not as soft as the others. It's softer. Like this is, I don't see it on here, but I thought all theirs were quiet approved. I think yours has the quiet approved stamp on it.
I think it does too. I'll have to double check.
This is the second one I got. I don't see it on there.
Interesting.
I don't see the PB core stamp on this one either.
Yeah, mine does have the big PB core stamped right at the bottom, like big.
Weird.
But remember, that PB core stamp was not even a real stamp. They
Right,
just
that was just them
putting it there. That's just them putting it there. Yeah. That's not an official stamp.
Yeah, maybe they decided to take it off or something. Anyways, but then again, here with balance point, the balance point on this one is 255.
Okay. So
242 is the average for elongated. That is so high. No other paddles have,
over 10 millimeters higher.
Yeah,
that's actually significant.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good chunk.
It's huge.
So, I mean, it definitely doesn't feel light when you play with it, and the sweet spot is still the same. I wouldn't say there's an improvement really sweet spot wise. And one thing I noticed with it is to access the power, you definitely have to find that zone. Off center hits, just because of the size of the sweet spot, just don't return as much. But when you hit the center, it goes. And so some people who play with this might play with it and think, oh, I'm not seeing the power, and maybe you're just not finding the sweet spot, because you got to find it to get that power consistently every time. And so that's just one of the things that these paddles give you. It's just the behavior there. But that's these. So I just want to talk maneuverability for a second now. So I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts from your experience with it?
Basically same vein as the original Power. Definitely, I liked that it did have less pop. I actually liked that. I thought the old ones were too poppy for me.
Yeah, this is definitely more controllable.
It feels heavy. Like my same complaints with all the Gearbox paddles. It felt heavy. It felt slow. I do think when you don't hit the sweet spot, like you hit the sweet spot and it's a rocket. You don't hit the sweet spot and it's meh.
Yeah.
So I do think it's funny because I see people that are not really, really skilled players playing with these, but I do feel like these are almost geared towards people that are going to consistently hit the sweet spots.
Yeah, I think the challenge with these ones is more of a sweet spot issue. I do think these are easier to control for sure.
Yes.
You can definitely dial these in. A big benefit to these is how pleasant they feel in combination with the power. They're not too soft, but they're definitely softer.
Yes.
You could still say this feels like a control paddle.
Yeah.
But it's lively. It's easy to connect with. The feedback's there. And so I like that aspect of it. But yeah, you have to deal with the weight and then the average to a little below average sweet spot, probably below average for these. And so I do think this is a viable replacement for those.
No, if you like the original,
yeah,
definitely.
If that's your jam, go with this.
If you didn't like that, you're probably still not going to like this. That's like I don't think it's going to bring you to the dark side.
Yeah. And I know people will probably listen to this will think, oh, I don't agree with them on this sweet spot, but I'm telling you, go hit this side by side with some other 16 millimeter thicker core edge guard polypropylene paddles.
Oh, yeah.
You'll notice a difference in the
100%.
sweet spot. And so That is but there are a lot of people that play super well with it. And if that's your jam, then these are good. This has been getting a lot of praise I've seen from other people online, other reviewers. And so we'll see what their thoughts are, but that's where I'm at with it. Okay, let's talk maneuverability. Okay, I think swing weight is very important for maneuverability, but it's not the be-all, end-all. And when you're considering maneuverability, how fast this paddle's going to move, whether it's in hand battles, flicks, from the baseline, there's 3 metrics you want to look at. So it's swing weight, balance point, and static weight. It's the combination, and the thickness of the paddle plays a role. Because I think if I have a 14 millimeter that's 114 swing weight and a 60 millimeter that's 114 swing weight,
you still think the 14
I still think
faster?
the 14 moves faster. Maybe that's in my head, but
aerodynamics.
Maybe, I don't know. But I do think I get a little more maneuverability from the thickness. But the three main metrics you want to look at are swing weight, balance point, and static weight. So if you have 2 paddles that have the exact same swing weight, but one weighs 7.9, the other weighs 8.2, the 7.9 is going to be more maneuverable. So you can't just look at the swing weight. You might get a paddle there's some paddles that are really clever, like the Vapor or just the 11.624s, where they manage the weight really well, where it has a higher static weight, like 8.2, that has those normal swing weights. Those are going to feel a little bit heavier, a little harder to flick compared to an 8 ounce. That's the same swing weight. So you have to pay attention to that. Don't just look at the swing weight, or don't just look at the static weight. It's a combination of the two. And then balance point, normally I say you can kind of ignore that one, not put too much weight in it, but do look for abnormality, abnormal numbers. Do look for numbers that aren't normal.
Abnormality.
Oh, what is that
I can't
word?
say it either. It's too early in the morning.
So
Caffeine.
Gearbox is an example where these are just super high.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't as familiar with balance points, so they might not be able to see one and just know if that's high or not. So that's where the databases come into handy. You can just do some quick comparisons. And so pay attention to those 3 things. They all contribute to how easy or hard a paddle is to move. I've dialed in to where I like it. 8.4, 8.5 is my static weight that I will shoot for, and then a swing weight around 114 to 118 is my range. Do you have
static weight?
Something like that?
Static weight, I like to be about like 9.2.
It's gone up. I feel. I don't remember it being that.
It's always been pretty high. Yeah,
9.2.
And my reasoning for that is I feel like resetting balls is much easier when my static weight's that high.
Adding weight does decrease pop a little bit.
So I feel like it's just it's much easier for me to just put my paddle out there and reset a ball into the kitchen.
Yeah. That's good. So that's my soapbox there. Q&A. I'll let you run this one.
All right, Q&A. Posted on Instagram for some questions. Got a few good ones. Let's start with this one because this one's my favorite. So Trey_Thies, what is your paddle of choice if your life is on the line to win the game?
This is just another way of saying what's your main paddle.
No, well, I don't know because my answer for this is actually not my main paddle right now. So
okay, well, tell us your main paddle and then how you.
Well, currently my main paddle, I've been playing with the 14 millimeter Yola.
Okay.
Pro 4, but if you told me I was gonna die if I lose, I'm grabbing my Shogun.
So why is the Shogun not your main paddle then?
Because I like I'm trying the new stuff. I don't know, main in the new stuff. I'm keep it up with the Joneses.
All right. I don't think I have a difference. It's just carbon true foam.
Okay.
Too.
It's
my main and the one I'd die with, I guess.
Well, no, you're not gonna die because we're gonna win.
Right. The one we'd kill with.
There's our answers. All right. Let's see. Lasunga. Now that the game has changed, do you still prefer pop over power?
What do they mean by now that the game has changed?
I'm wondering like the speed of the game. I'm assuming they mean like just how the game has moved towards power paddles and like the speed of the game, more drives. Do we still prefer pop over power?
Okay, so they've listened before. They know
this is
that
gonna
I
be,
prefer a little more pop over bigger power.
Has that changed at all?
For me, no.
Yeah.
No, I still prefer a little more weapons at the net, using that pop to handle drives more effectively and to be a little more offensive. And part of it's because I'm like, for me, I can't produce as much power and offense as you can. So I like having a little help from my paddle. So that's why I prefer pop over power. And I like swinging a little bigger, more full strokes on drops and drives. And if I have something that's too powerful, then I have to change my swing and it can throw it off a little bit.
I agree too, actually. I prefer pop over power, and this is mainly because I don't have a tennis background. I don't have that many like baseline power shots that I would be loving more power for anyway. Like I can rip a ball past somebody every once in a while, but I don't have like some of these guys we play with that were like, college and above tennis players.
Right.
Absolutely just generate insane amounts of power where I can see they
That's
want, no, exactly. Like they want more power.
Yeah.
Like a perfect example, the other day I was playing with Mariana and Lucas, and Mariana's like, give me we were testing some prototypes, and she's like, give me the power paddle. I'm like, she doesn't need a power paddle. Like she could smash with any paddle you put in her hand, but she still wants more power because that's the stroke she has.
Yeah, she wins that way.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before too. When you're fitting paddles to people, you want a paddle that plays your strengths.
Yeah.
And if you play a power game, even if your control maybe isn't that, is just okay, and maybe a power paddle hurts your control game some, but if you're winning with power, that's how you win. That's your superpower. I think you do want to lean into that a little bit. Maybe you don't go all in on a power paddle, but you do want to lean into that a little bit with your equipment. So I could see her just crushing it, just doing really well with the power. But she has the touch too. So
no, she does. See, because I tried the power paddle when we were doing the prototypes, and I was just hitting everything out. Because I don't have the control once it gets to that power level.
Yeah. You're right. Even if you are a power player and you don't have the touch game, that's always a fine line. I think you want to get a power paddle, something with some power, so that you can leverage what you're good at. But you don't want to get so powerful that it just takes out your other elements of your game, right?
And like my issue is if like I get too powerful, it throws off like, because I'm sure like I like to swing the paddle at a certain pace. I feel like it throws my timing off when it's too powerful.
Yeah, you have to change your swing a little
exactly, and that bugs me.
And some may argue that a tighter swing or a tighter stroke is easier to control or better. So it kind of just depends. It's almost a person to person a little bit there.
Exactly, person to person. All right, Matador.Matrix. Why is there so much online hate from tennis players towards pickleball?
Do you still see that?
Yeah, I do. But
when was the last time you've seen that?
On any post that's from anybody that's like major in pickleball. So like if you go like look at a Jack Sock post on Instagram, there'll be a bunch of tennis haters.
Oh,
on there.
really? Okay.
Yeah. Like it's never on our stuff because no tennis players follow us.
Good riddance.
But my answer for this is honestly, I just think, and I actually feel for them. Like these diehard tennis fans, especially older ones, they're seeing some of their courts being taken up, being converted to pickleball, and I just think it frustrates people that the sport's growing that fast, and they just love their sport. And I feel for them, honestly. But I know tons of tennis players that embrace pickleball with open arms too, that were like insanely good tennis players.
Yeah.
So
I think there's less hate than there is
every year. There's
more
less
love.
and less. Yeah.
It's definitely. I mean, you got McEnroe playing pickleball now. Like,
as
soon as that happened, that had to change some
Graf
hearts.
and Agassi are both like in it. And
Right. Yeah. You have a lot of these celebs.
I do think if you went 3 years ago, there was much more hate than there is now. I feel like each year more and more are embracing it. So, but there's always going to be haters. Always.
I'm glad you had to read those names. I could feel the pain a little bit. It's hard to read some of these handles.
Well, that's fine. The one you put in, you got to read that name.
All right. Last Q&A is from Antonio Sarakis 9329.
Apologies.
Sorry. I know we joke. All right. Theirs is on a lightweight version of a paddle with the same thickness as the regular weight model. Where is the weight they are taking out coming from? This is a really good question. This one was on a YouTube video. So any batch of paddles is going to have a weight range. Typically, it's about a half an ounce. So you'll see paddles listed average as 8.1 ounces, give or take 0.2. So that means it ranges from 7.9 to 8.3, which is about a half ounce variance. Sometimes it's even bigger than that. And that weight variance comes from multiplying different factors of the paddle. It could be the amount of glue, the adhesive that's used is a little bit different from paddle to paddle to adhere the face to the paddle. It could be the edge guard is a little bit longer or shorter that they put on. It could be the cut of the polypropylene or just whatever the core is, just a little bit different size, different. Sometimes you'll have whole cells on the side. Sometimes you have half cells that could affect the weight. The foam you put in, the edge foam it's going to have some variance.
Slight variance.
And so just these compounding variances are what contribute to this weight range, right? And I think the brands that advertise a lightweight and a midweight or just two weight options in general are just taking their batch of paddles and separating them into two stacks. So they have their 8.1 to 8.3 as their midweight or heavyweight, and then they have their 7.8 to 8.1 as their lightweights or something. And so they just use that variance to their advantage and use it as two separate categories. Another brand that does this is Thrive. I love that they do this. They realize they're not intentionally making multiple swing weight options. That's just what comes in with the batch, and they just weigh them, say, okay, we have 200 at 116 swing weight. We have 200 at 120. We have 100 at 160, whatever. They just separate them, and I think it's smart to do that. I think it's something that just adds value to when you're purchasing instead of just randomly getting one that could be super light or super heavy.
That is cool about Thrive when you get your little card that has like, this is the swing weight.
It's
that's
super
actually
cool.
Yeah. And not a lot of, I thought when they first did that, after your trip to Vegas and stuff, when you guys talked about that, I thought everybody was going to start doing it. It didn't pick up. But yeah, it's cool.
No one has picked that up, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I like that.
I still am a huge fan of what Thrive does with that.
Attention to detail for sure.
But there's not many brands that give you the weight options. You have Thrive, Paddle Tech gives you if you buy it on the website. Selkirk does it. Engage does it. Those are the only ones that come to mind.
Pro XR has it's only one color. The white version of the signature, it's the Phantom, and it's the lightweight.
And that's because
dye. Is it the dye?
Yeah, the dye is a different weight. Yeah. I did read that somewhere.
Okay.
And so they just advertise it as being the lightweight option, right? And so I think that's all that is. I don't think there's a brand that's intentionally making
two versions.
Yeah. They're just separating.
And then I wonder if they have a range that's acceptable, and then they just toss whatever's too heavy or too light.
I would hope so.
Or that's what they send to us.
Yeah, I would hope so. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us.
Episode 71.
Thanks for tuning in.
Later.